how do you make sustainable packaging ROI positive? It's often more expensive, and there's ways that you can make it ROI positive. And I want to talk to you about a concept called the bridge that Luke and I have talked a lot about internally and want to share it with the world. It's how I believe you can make sustainable packaging ROI positive and get over those hurdles of, oh, it costs more, which leads to inaction, and instead saying it's ROI positive and we make sustainable packaging the norm. So there's 3 steps of the bridge. We think about it as a bridge like this. The first step being innovation. And Luke, talk about the innovations. We say the time for greenwashing is over. What's a true innovation as it relates to sustainable packaging that we believe in at Contempo?
One that you can just jump to right away is switching the material that you're currently using with your packaging from a virgin plastic, like something right here that you see on this Q-tip package, and maybe switching over to something like an ocean-bound plastic. That's an initial innovation that you can make immediately that provides also a very big impact.
You're innovating, you're improving the status quo. And we also say progress, not perfection. So don't try to create something perfect, but improve the status quo. And the big word for me is respect the consumer. Stop trying to mislead the consumer because A, you could say it's the wrong thing to do, but put that aside. The consumer is becoming more educated in today's world. You can no longer mislead them by tinting plastic screens. So the first step of the bridge, if you want to go from inaction to making sustainable packaging the norm and making it ROI positive for you, the first step of the bridge is innovation, a true innovation. Respect the consumer is the key word. Number 2, education. There's an old saying, something of the sorts, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it make a sound? I think the same thing applies to sustainable packaging. If you innovate, you create something that's actually good for the planet. You're respecting the consumer, but you don't tell the consumer, you don't explain to the consumer the impact that you're making, it could fall on deaf ears. For example, you make your packaging 100% hemp labels. And let's say our friends at Unilever chose to put a hemp label on their product. If they write nothing, then that's obviously not a good thing. But even if they just write 100% hemp packaging, a lot of people aren't going to get it. They're not going to understand the benefits of hemp. And I know that we've gone through this versus explaining the environmental benefits of using hemp packaging. Do you want to list a few of those and give an example of how we'd communicate what those benefits are?
Yeah, just one that we can jump to immediately is just helping cut down the amount of trees that we are cutting down to produce these labels. A lot of labels today are made traditionally from virgin paper, and that's one change that we're trying to make immediately by converting that material over to hemp.
And you also have the carbon sequestration benefits, hemp sequestering large amounts of carbon. You have how fast hemp grows. So if you just say 100% hemp, there's a good chance people aren't going to get it. And you're spending more money on the hemp packaging. So then that puts you in a position where you say, is this worth it? Is this worth it? I like what I'm doing for the planet, but is it worth it as a business? So what I'm suggesting, and what I suggest to every client of Contempo, and also people that don't use Contempo, because we want to make sustainable packaging the norm. The idea is you put a QR code on the package, and it links to a short 30 to 60 second video that talks about what your sustainable packaging is and why it's actually good for the planet and the impact that you're making. Because if the consumer understands the impact, there's a better chance that they appreciate, which is the third part of the bridge, appreciation. By appreciating, that can lead to loyalty, that can lead to the person buying other products of yours. It can lead to them telling their friends. It's like, the holy grail in business is customer loyalty, someone buying again and again and again. So that's what we call the bridge. I just wanted to do a quick video. If you want to go from saying sustainable packaging is so expensive, I can never afford it, I want to help the planet, but how do I go about doing it, to taking action and helping make sustainable packaging the norm and helping protect this beautiful planet, think about the bridge. Innovate. Respect the consumer. Step 1. Step 2, educate. The impact that you're making. Don't take for granted the consumer will understand the impact. Educate. And then the third step, appreciation, which can lead to brand loyalty. That is the bridge. I hope it's valuable for you. Any thoughts in closing, Luke, on this?
No, just the fact that there are studies out there showing that consumers are willing to pay more for products and packaging that are eco-friendly. And just by not educating those consumers on the changes that you may be making, you're missing out on a whole lot of opportunity to be able to show them the changes you're making to inspire them to gravitate towards your product.
Yep. Imagine if this Q-tip package was made from ocean-bound plastic. Educate the consumer on the amount of plastic you're keeping out of the oceans, and I believe good things will happen for you.